Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special anniversary edition of Talking About Rock. I'm Rob Edwards. Both Jerry and I are lifelong music fans. We've been friends since high school, and we were lucky enough to reconnect last year and start up this show and get to see some of the bands we grew up with and also get to meet lots of new bands. Jerry, how's it been going?
It's been going pretty well here. Looking forward to seeing some good stuff this weekend, as I do every weekend. Nashville, of course, is becoming the central focus for the rock scene in the country, from what I believe. And it seems like new bands are creeping up every day here, from an original standpoint, as well as our typical and usual covers that we have all over the place. I've really enjoyed talking about rock with Rob here and reconnecting with him. We talked about rock back in the day when we were teenagers, and I consider myself a rock and roll historian, as does Rob. And we're always talking about the great golden years of the 70s and the 80s, and now we're having fun discovering these new bands, these up-and-comers, these youngsters, I should say, who are keeping the torch alive, which is what we want to do here, talking about rock.
Exactly. It's been a great year, and we'll show you folks some of the folks we've had a chance to meet. And we'll also be bringing back some of our previous guests will be joining us back. From Nashville, we're going to check in with our friends Lost Circus, and they'll be telling us what's going on under the Big Ten out there with them. We'll also be bringing back Buffalo Music Hall of Fame vocalist Jessie Galante. We'll be checking in with her. Another Buffalo Music Hall of Famer, Jim Crean, will be joining us, and he'll be giving us some updates on what's happening with him, as will our next guest that we'll be have here for you. He's another Buffalo Music Hall of Famer. You may remember him from David Lee Roth's band, from Mr. Big, and his current projects, Sons of Apollo and Winery Dogs. The badass bass master himself, Mr. Billy Sheehan, will be joining us as well.
I hope he plays some dates here somewhere in Nashville, either with the Winery Dogs or the Sons of Apollo. I got to see those shows. And he lives here now in Nashville, and he formerly grew up in Buffalo, New York with us. So we have that connection with Billy, with me being from Nashville and you being from Buffalo, Rob, which is a pretty interesting connection. I think it's the only person we've talked to who's lived in both cities.
Exactly. He's excited about that. We're excited to hear about the new TALAS album that's coming out with the vocals from our dear beloved Phil Naro, who's passed on. He'll be giving us some updates on that. We hope you'll join us and hope you enjoy this anniversary special edition of Talking About Rock. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this anniversary episode of Talking About Rock. We're so happy to have with us our next guest. He is the driving bass force, obviously, behind, originally from David Lee Roth, Mr. Big, and of course, Buffalo's own beloved TALAS. He's now involved in projects in Winery Dogs and Sons of Apollo. Please welcome back Billy Sheehan.
Thanks for having me back, you guys.
Hey, great to see you back. Yeah, looks like you're a busy guy. You always have stuff going on. You're building bases in your workroom there all the time. I see you posting stuff. You got your master classes. Give us an update on what's been happening.
Well, I found that when I post something about a bass, a lot of people enjoy the backstory. So I started pulling some of my instruments out because I have a little time during the day. So I pull an instrument out, take it into my workshop and bring it up to speed, because most of them have been hanging around in here. And there's a certain number that I use, but other ones that are just, the one's got a broken knob, and the one's got a bent tuning key or something. I got to go back. And so I take them in and I pull them apart and I tell the story about them. And the last one I did was the pink Yamaha Attitude. It's the third one. I don't know if you can see the line there.
Right. That's the one you took a little bit of flack on in the David Lee Roth days, right? Is that the one?
Well, no. And I think there was one comment in one magazine one time.
Oh.
But of course, everybody turns into that everybody on earth hates you. So
I thought it was a great picture with you with that bass back in the day, but.
Yeah, it was actually rose blue. It's not pink. So when you move it, it flashes blue, iridescent, pearlescent finish. Really beautiful. And they did a great job on it. And I used it on the Edom Small Tour, I think for the Encore. I came out with it. And then I used it on Skyscraper and used it on some of it on the first Mr. Big record. But then I went back to my original P bass for all my live. Oh, my original P isn't up there. It's in my car because I took it to my master class. I'll explain why in a minute. But I stayed on my P bass for a while until they came up with this version of the Attitude bass. In '91, I switched to that. I've stayed there and retired the P bass. It's in my car because when people come to the master class, a lot of times they want to see that bass or some of the others. So I take the double neck or the wine-colored plexiglass Winery Dogs bass, or the 8-string version of the Attitude, or the fretless version of the Attitude, or the 30-year anniversary Attitude, or a 12-string bass that I have, or and then the pink bass I was supposed to take it, but I forgot, and everybody that showed up goes, "Oh, you didn't bring the pink bass."
Right, because they want some photos, I'm sure, with you with the different ones, right?
Yeah. And I'm happy to let people try it out and play it, especially the wife bass, the original OP bass. There's about 5 or 6 or more guys around the world that have made imitations of it, try to get all the scratches and everything right. A guy in Savannah, Georgia, I believe, John Willis, he made such a perfect duplicate of that bass. They were sitting on a couch together. I almost grabbed his.
Nice.
Every dent and nick and scratch, he nailed it. So a bunch of other people have done similar as well. So the masterclass thing is cool because I can sit down one-on-one with somebody. And the interesting thing is I see the light go off when they realize something that I'm trying to impart to them as far as understanding this. And it's pretty simple, but it's surprising a lot of players don't have a handle on do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. This major scale, up and down the neck and where it is. And once you know that, you really got incredible open door to understand music and play a zillion songs. And I often start with that and go over that with people and watch the light go off in them when they figure it. Because the same thing happened to me at one point. I had a very dear friend back in Buffalo named Chris Vorse. He had his PhD in analytical philosophy. Woohoo!
There's something right there, yeah.
One time he had a book in his house about this thick, and I opened it randomly, read a sentence, and he goes, "That sounds like Thomas Aquinas." It was a chapter on Thomas Aquinas, so he
knew his stuff.
He knows his stuff. So he taught me a lot about some fundamental musical ideas outside of playing, and one of them was the scales and the modes. And I remember I kind of knew them, and I knew what they were, and I knew how they were, but I didn't know how they were.
Right, because that's usually the basis. Like everybody starts with the scales, or like you're supposed to, right? But that can get kind of tedious, right?
Yeah, scales are. Why would you want to play scales? You know, so I actually was on stage at Stage 1 in Pittsburgh. There was another Stage 1, the one in Buffalo, but there was also a club in Pittsburgh, Greensburg, Pennsylvania, called Stage 1. Matter of fact, Paul Gilbert used to come see me play there. So I remember the stage was only this high, and Paul was really tall. So this kid would be like this far away from me for the whole
show. He's not that tall, right?
Hilarious, but a wonderful guy. And so I was on stage playing, and all of a sudden, oh, I get it completely now. And it's explained so much to me about things that I already kind of did, but I didn't know the why underneath them, why they worked or why it should be that way. And so I've been trying to impart what I've learned to others. And I always say to everyone at the end of the masterclass, has this been helpful? Was this worthwhile? And they unanimously are quite enthusiastic about it. And then I always make arrangement to stay in touch with them as the weeks go by and to let me know how it's going. You know, so I hear from people a month or two later, and they've changed course completely, and now they're onto this, and they're doing better.
Right.
So my purpose is to get results. But the one-on-one thing is fun and it's cool. We videotape the whole thing so that they can go, if they can't remember some of the things I talk about. I purposely play the thing I'm trying to show them into the camera so they can watch it and figure it out later.
Right. Is it always a one-on-one, or do you do any like lists? Like do any video classes too where people can't make it maybe, or?
No, I will probably at some point, but this music store is 10 minutes from my house. So
Lane in Brentwood.
yeah, that's the great thing about it. And because one-on-one, there's nothing like it. Even on video, it's a good, if you have nothing else. But one-on-one. Sorry, I'll have people just show me how do you approach? What do you play? Play a thing for me. Play a song for me. Let me see what you're doing.
Right.
Okay, here. And then I begin to try to give them some advice that may help them doing whatever they're
Right.
doing.
And you get a feel for kind of where they're at or how well they're, with the instrument or whatever. Right.
Exactly. And there's some great players and some absolute beginners. We had one guy in that actually didn't play. He just wanted to sit down and hang out with me for an hour. So we had a blast. We had a great
I'm sure
time.
you get a couple of those. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. But it's a great way. And now Jeff Berlin is a very famous and probably one of the greatest players ever. He's in Brentwood now too, so I invited him down. He popped in, and he may start doing it himself. So he's a grandmaster educator too. He really knows his stuff. When I have a question about what chord is this, hello Jeff. Oh, it's an.
Oh, that's interesting. Who does Billy Sheehan go to when he has a question? Right there, you go.
Jeff Berlin, Tony McAlpine, or Steve Vai. I'd give him a call. What is a diminished seventh with an added 11th, cemented? Demented chord, so they usually have an answer.
So the master class is the brainchild of Todd Austin, right? Todd Zilla?
Well, actually, it was my idea, but Todd made it happen. Todd is a grandmaster at getting things done. He's a great guitar player, very, very well respected in the Nashville area, and Elaine music was mostly orchestral instruments and pianos, but they had this giant upstairs. So he's transformed the whole thing now into this guitar emporium, and it's fantastic. And the little room we go in for the masterclass, it's like a little living room with a table, couch and chair, and a couple little amps, and it's quiet, and you can sit down and go back and forth to things. So it's been, we'll probably export it at some point too, because I can do it anywhere, really. I'd like to come back to Buffalo and do like a weekend full of hour-long master classes, and it'd be nice to see a lot of people back there anyway too.
Yeah, I'm sure that people would love it. Yeah, that would be
there
great.
Would be some takers.
Oh, for sure. And so speaking of Buffalo, you got the TALAS album that you're getting ready to release. You released the one track from it there, Intermountain Flame. Yeah. And so we're all waiting for the rest of it to come out.
Yeah, there's going to be another single coming out. And then one more, because the album unfortunately got so delayed. We went through hell getting this record together because, first of all, we lost Phil. It was a catastrophe, which crushed us all and took the wind out of our sails. So we got back up on that horse that threw us, and the supply chain problems for record companies are massive to get material. The waiting lists at CD pressing plants, the waiting list for vinyl is over a year.
Right, because everybody's trying to get their stuff out that's been delayed. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm glad you guys are aware of that, because the record itself might not come out until September, but in the meantime, we'll have a bunch of the individual tracks coming out. And then when it comes out, I just approved the colors. Like it's going to be in colored vinyl and available for download and everything. There's a bunch of bonus things here and there. So we wanted to, and plus we even have some songs we didn't finish that Phil sang. So we're going to try to get in there and complete those as well. Those may not be on the record, but we can just release them for free too. As we're, the record is we really wanted to be about Phil's legacy. What a wonderful guy, what a great voice. And he stepped right up to the plate on all the vocals on this record. You would never have known anything was wrong. I knew we would do a FaceTime call on this same computer. And then on my music computer, which is to my right, we had a program called Sound Mover or Sonic Mover or something like that. Anyway, it was connected to the console in the studio in Toronto. And in real time, I don't know how they do it. In real time, I would hear exactly what was going on. And then we'd use the FaceTime as talkback. So me and engineer Russ McKay did an amazing job. And Phil, all on camera. And, they'd start the thing rolling and Phil would launch on the vocal. I had the lyric sheet here. It's pretty standard operating procedure when a vocalist is doing that. the producer is in the room and you're going over, trying a little less emphasis on this word, or let's remove a couple syllables here to make it easier to sing. And so as you go through it, there's fine tuning there as well. I remember that when we recorded Sink Your Teeth Into That, the song, there was twice as many lyrics. And I just went in and crossed out every other line because I realized there's just too many words here, and then that's what ended up on the record. So things like that happen all the time. So Bill, I could tell that he was a little bit preoccupied, and he had a hard time focusing mentally. But his voice and his singing ability were killing. They were great. They're awesome. But now I'm looking back, I realize now why, because I know the weight of the world was on his shoulders, but he still performed like a champion. Really quite touching, quite amazing. His brother and his mom were in Nashville visiting some other family, and I had him come over to the house, and with a couple of other friends, I got to see his mom, and his mom is just the sweetest lady in the world, and just devastated by the loss of her son, Pardon me. And so I'm still in touch with the family, and everyone's excited about this record, and it came out great. And Mark Miller on drums, come on.
Yeah, it definitely sounded great, and I love the video that you put out for it on YouTube there, and we wanted to give our fans just a little quick treat, a little taste of what it was. So I'm gonna pop that in here real quick, and we'll take a listen to the newer version of Intermountain Flame there with the late great Phil Naro on that. So let's check that out. We'll be right back.
Your heart is melting.
Okay, we're back here on Talking About Rock with Billy Sheehan. Just watched the video for Intermounting Flame. So yeah, we're real excited about that, obviously, here in Buffalo when you guys get that out. And maybe anything in the back of your mind, maybe doing a little live shows with some of that, or a little touring maybe? Is anything that come to mind?
I know we spoke with Jessica Soto about possibly singing some stuff, because he was a singer for Yngwie when TALAS and Yngwie toured in '85. And he's a great singer, a dear friend, a wonderful guy. He's the Phil Naro of Jessica Soto. he's an easy, fun, enjoyable, easy going lead singer and kicks ass on top of it too. And who knows, maybe I would certainly reach out to Phil's son and see if he would like to join us as well. He sang some harmonies with his dad on the record and did great. He did a great job. So we'll see. I would love to do something. The logistics of it are tough, but
right. That would be really cool. I'm sure everybody here would look forward to that. Maybe some of the local guys might be able to help you out with it or something too. That would be so cool.
Absolutely.
So catch us up here. What's going on with your other projects? So you have Winery Dogs, you got Sons of Apollo. We're all chomping at the bit to see what's going on with those guys, right?
The Winery
this guy
Dogs
stays busy here.
I know, right?
The Winery Dogs are really a project close to my heart. I love working with Richie. I love working with Mike, and Richie's just a supreme talent, and Mike as well. And we went to LA for 2 separate writing sessions. And again, because it's the COVID pandemic thing, Richie sent the tracks here to me for me to do my background vocals, and Mike and to Mike for Mike to do his background vocals. But it's all fine. It sounds righteous. It sounds like we're in the same room. So, but it's pretty far along. So it's not going to be very much longer until that record is ready to be let out of its little box and it savages the world, I hope.
Yeah.
But it's a joy working with those guys, and we are really looking forward to get on the road maybe this fall, if not certainly all of 2023, if that's possible. Richie's been busy with Adrian Smith, of course, from Iron Maiden. He did a record with him. It's a great sounding record. Did a tour with that. Had his wife on bass, Julia. She's a great bass player from Brazil. Right. And so I was glad for him in that respect. And then Sons of Apollo, we were 3 or 4 shows in to our European tour when everything hit the fan. Right.
I remember you telling us about that last time, and you weren't sure if you were going to get home or what was going to happen, right?
Yeah, we were in Scandinavia, I think either Finland or Sweden, maybe Sweden. And had just finished a couple shows in Germany. Then we were going to go to the Ukraine and Moscow. Was our next stop.
Doing that now, right?
That's for sure. That's a terrible situation. But before, we were ready to pack everything up, and I think it was the evening before the show that we were going to do Oh no, it was in Germany. We had a rehearsal day, and I'm saying, you guys, if we because we were worried that we would get stuck in Europe and not be able to come back, right? Because they were going to shut flights down. They had been doing that. So if we get stuck here, they're not going to put us up at the Four Seasons.
Right, that's not going to happen. Right.
We're going to have to pay for our hotel rooms, the bus driver's hotel room, the bus, the crew guys, everything else. And Sons of Apollo is a young band. We make excellent money, but that can run out really fast. And in a tour, you start a tour, you're in the red. About a third of the way through, we are in the black, and then the rest of it is profit. But so we were just.
Right. I know Alice Cooper was talking about that. They put some funds aside because they knew this was starting to happen. They put funds aside to do that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, good planning.
It's been a tough situation. So finally. Reason and logic prevailed, said we better pull the plug and go. One of the problems was we had all these shows in Europe booked, and we can't cancel shows without having some liability, because the promoter's paid his thing, he sold his tickets. We can't just cancel. That's why whenever you see like a big band cancel a show, and it just seems, it's a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's a PR nightmare, basically.
Oh my God, there are lawsuits and huge amounts of money lost. and people that flew in or bought tickets and hotels are there, and they lose everything. It's just you don't ever cancel. It's just go on. That's why sometimes if somebody blew their voice out, why did they do the show? Because canceling really isn't even an option sometimes. You just can't. So we were in a dilemma. If we would have canceled, we could have gotten sued by all the promoters. So we had to take a chance because no one else was canceling and all the promoters were there. But some areas were getting shut down, or they were saying to the promoters, you can only have half the amount of people in the room. You can't have a full house because of the virus thing. So finally, we just said, we got to pull the plug, and the moment we did, every band pulled the plug. So we got lucky, and every promoter had to shut down anyway. So fortunately, we didn't get sued, but we still have those dates to make up. I hope we can get back to it as soon as possible. Sons of Apollo. I love playing in that band. Wonderful guys, great music. The show is an exciting riot. There's some tough stuff to play in there too, so it's challenging. And so I hope we can get that back to that ASAP as well.
Great.
Well, certainly the pandemic was unavoidable. So you got to think the powers that be have to understand the circumstances.
Yeah. It's my heart goes out to the crew, bus drivers, truck drivers, stagehands, local venues, because you can't just pay rent and utilities on an empty room for 2 years without going broke. You know, you have to have shows in there to make money to pay your bills, and if you can't, you're doomed. And I remember I read a book. I'm not into Shakespeare at all, but I was in an airport in Santiago, Chile, and they had a little English-only book thing. Before we had iPhone books and everything. It was in the 90s, I think. And this is my favorite author, Bill Bryson. He wrote a great book called A Short History of Nearly Everything. It's an amazing, great book. So there was I read all of his books. There was only one I hadn't read, his book on Shakespeare. So I thought, okay, I got it. And it was unbelievable. It was fascinating. It was not so much his poetry or his prose or his plays, but about the time that it was the beginnings of the entertainment business, how, when putting shows on. And there was a pandemic then too. And one of the problems was they couldn't have groups of people together. So this isn't the first time this has happened.
No, not at all.
Even since Shakespeare was around, they had this problem.
Yep.
Right.
And I know when we last talked to you, you were going through some of your memorabilia and some of your things and thinking about if you're going to raffle off stuff or give stuff away, or what's happening with that? Have you made any headway?
It's a gargantuan task because my archives are massive. But I do have, like in every poster or album cover or video or whatever, I've got a lot of those clothes and a lot of programs from UFO, from the Eat 'em and Smile tour, from Mr. Big tours, the Japanese Mr. Big tours, all kinds of stuff. And I don't really, I know it, and I was there, so I don't really need to keep it. And I think it'd make a lot of people happy to have it. So, if I sold it, I'd look like a putz. What a cheap bastard.
Yeah. You could always do like benefit shows and maybe have it available at the benefit shows you do or something like that too. That might be an idea.
Silent auctions.
or
That's
something.
the way to go.
Right.
But I wanted to see it get in the hands of people who would like it, who would want it, and would enjoy it. Because I've got great friends all over the world that I cherish, and that they might want some of the stuff. So I figured I would auction it and take that money and donate it. The initial target donation was bulletproof vests for first responders.
Right.
EMT,
you talking about that, yeah.
And firemen. And I think police departments have it provided to them already, so they don't need it. But the medical ambulance staff and the firemen might. There may have since then been some kind of a federal program to cover them, so we're going to double check. And if that's the case, then we'll find something equally worthy that no one would be opposed to donating to. Saving people's lives is everybody's business, and when the first responders are, where would we be without them? Probably not here. So
exactly, yeah, that sounds great.
Something for them.
Exactly.
Sounds like a great cause, and I'm sure they'd be much appreciative for you making that donation.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. Yeah, we did a bunch of charity things for the police here in Brentwood. Me and Phil X, he plays guitar for Bon Jovi now, and Ray Lugier, who's the drummer for Korn. We just got up to the three of us. It's just a little town square in the middle of a neighborhood with no lights, no sound. I think those Bose pillars behind us, no monitors, no mics on the drums. It sounded unbelievable.
I saw that video footage.
We had a riot, but there were no lights, so it was getting dark. And the crowd all turned their iPhone flashlight on. And there's like about 600 iPhones shining out.
Oh, we have to find the video footage of that. That sounds amazing.
It's out there. I remember seeing it.
We'll have to scour the internet for that. That sounds really cool.
So that was to benefit the Brentwood Police?
Yeah. I think they had recently lost an officer, too, in the line of duty. So we were glad to come to them in that under those circumstances, you know.
Yeah, they did. I think it was the first time ever that they lost an officer in the line of duty.
Yeah.
In Brentwood.
Yeah, they run a tight ship here. I came into my house one time, forgot to turn the alarm off and to open the garage door, and I'm taking stuff out of my car. And we live at the top of a hill, and it's a high hill, and it's a nice spot in the woods. In about a minute and a half, they came roaring into my driveway. And I just yelled, sorry, and make sure I held my hand. Sorry. The guy looks at me and goes, you're good.
Well, after you're out of shock, I'm sure you're happy about the response time.
I was ecstatic because that's one of the reasons we left LA. We had a problem around our building where my condo was, and I got up and tried to call the police. Time and time again, no answer, or a message. Not even you can't leave a message to you to continue try calling. So finally, I said, heck with it, I'm going to call 911. So I called 911. 40 minutes later, I got.
Oh my gosh!
So I gave up, and that I didn't even get me through to anyone on top of it. It was 40 minutes until the call was picked up.
Was picked up by anybody. Yeah, that's a little crazy.
So I gave up, and the Van Nuys Police Department is not far from my house. So I drove down there. I know a couple of Van Nuys cops. And so I'm standing there because what seems to be the situation? To go, officer, I've been calling and calling and calling. We got a homeless guy. He's causing trouble. He's peeking in the windows. He's drinking bottles of wine at 3 a.m, breaking shit. You know, we don't want to have him hurt or arrested. We just like to maybe move him along if you can because we're afraid. Or
find a shelter for him or something.
Exactly. So the officer goes, oh, I got it. Let me call for you. 20 minutes.
So he's waiting on the phone. Yeah.
So I said, I'm on tour. My wife's home alone. This is not good. And the woman, the home right next to us got a home invasion robbery. They came in with guns and held at the lady's head and went through her house.
Scary stuff. Yeah.
It's 50 feet from my house, so.
Yeah.
So here we are in Nashville with the Brentwood cops showing up in a minute and a half.
Right. Making you feel much, much better for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Brentwood is certainly a safe community, no doubt about it.
Right on. How's things in Buffalo?
Things are pretty nice, actually. Finally, a nice sunny day here. We're in the 70s, for a change. We're looking forward to the better weather. Shows are
coming up yet?
What's that?
Leaves and flowers and trees all coming back?
Oh, yeah, we got the leaves and the flowers coming back. Got more shows coming up. Matter of fact, next weekend we have Stephen Piercy from Rat's going to be playing here. So we're looking forward to that show. That should be good. So, yeah, it's coming along. So one last thing I wanted to ask you. You seem to be quite the avid reader. Any plans? Are you putting out anything yourself, biography or books or stuff? Or I'm sure that's probably in the back of your mind somewhere.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a few more people to die. That's a joke. I'm kidding. So I can't be sued by them.
Right.
No. People have approached me several times, and there's a lot of it that would be fun and funny. A kid growing up, and because these stories, my dad was a storyteller as an Irishman, and he'd recite these stories, and they were hilarious, and we'd hear them over and over again, and still laugh at the same joke. And so I got that from my dad a little bit, as far as being somewhat of a storyteller, if you will. And so all the stuff that I did as a kid and growing up, my brothers and sisters, and hearing the bands around the corner and catching frogs and snakes out in the fields and all the things we did, more than just the rock and roll thing. But that part of it, of course, will be a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff in there that I never want to paint anyone in a bad light. if I can help it, and so I try to sugarcoat it as much as I can. If somebody may have done something that having the story told would be harmful to them.
It's
So,
totally understandable. Yeah, we
Yeah.
diminish them in the public eye. Sure.
yeah,
sure.
I don't want to do that, So, but in general, at some point, I've almost sat down and started to map it out, and I have read a lot of biographies and autobiographies to see some of the formats and how they work, and yeah, I will map that out at some point and see what and lawyer up like crazy,
Like a big dog, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Put my helmet on and go, okay, go.
just to be sure, because it's coming, right? Exactly. Exactly. Well, listen, we appreciate you taking time and coming back and talking with us. Obviously, we want to see you come back and play in Buffalo. I know Jerry would love to see you playing out there again whenever
Right.
you guys are ready to do that,
Well, it's always enjoyable to see you guys and speak with you and talk about the good old days and the good new days. And I appreciate you having me on your show again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Hey, what are you doing Memorial Day weekend, Billy? There's
When
some
is it?
Rare Hair on May 30th.
Oh, yeah?
And Leslie reached out to you about Rare Hair.
Oh, that's right. I gotta get in touch with them.
Yeah, we'd love to see you on that stage again.
Oh, it's a blast. And Tyson does a great job organizing all that.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. I'll get in touch with him.
Pretty amazing.
Cool. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming back and speaking with us, man. We really appreciate it.
My
Have a
pleasure,
great day, and
gentlemen.
we look forward to Sons of Apollo and Winery Dog stuff coming, and the rest of the new TALAS album we're all waiting for.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Good to
Alrighty,
see
man.
you, Billy.
All right, you guys. Thanks a million. Now let's talk again soon.
Cool.
Sounds
Have a great
good.
day. Welcome back to this anniversary edition of Talking About Rock. Today we have for you a returning former guest. He mentored under the late great Phil Naro of Buffalo's own TALAS. And when he's not spending time with his metal band Hair Nation, he's also the vocalist for the Appice Brothers Drum War shows. Please welcome back to the show, Buffalo Music Hall of Famer, Jim Crean. Jim, how are you, man?
Good to see you, Rob. How are you doing, buddy?
Excellent, excellent. So I've been checking out your shows and seeing you got some new ones coming up. Looks like Appice Brothers shows are coming back out for the summertime. So what's been going on?
Yeah, we're working on a tour for the summer for the Appice Brothers. Got a bunch of shows. We kicked it off in Niagara Falls. We head out to New York City, and they're working on some other stuff for that. So it's going great. We're in the process of writing a new album, making a new record. So that's going really good too.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to bring in my co-host Jerry Schmidt. He's going to join us here also.
Oh, okay.
So we're just talking to Jim a little bit about the dates he has coming up with the Appice Brothers and stuff that he's got scheduled already coming out for the summertime. So my question for you, Jim, is do we have any updates on what's going on with Scream Taker? And that was another project you had undertaken, right? Do we have an update on that as of yet, or?
It's a great question. Yeah, exciting. Very excited. You're going to be the first to hear about it, but we just got signed to a really big label. So we just actually signed the contract. So the album's going to be out by summertime. It's killer. It's me, Steph Honde he's a French guitar player. Played with Pail D'iAnno from Iron Maiden, and played with Chris Holmes, and he's played with a lot of big players. And then of course Vinny Appice on drums.
That's excellent. Are you guys looking to go right into touring after that, or are you going to release a couple singles, or what's the plan of attack there?
Yeah, so it's a whole big marketing thing. This label's really big up. I really can't say yet, but it's a big label that we just signed to, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to release. We put out a teaser video, but we're going to re-release a couple songs that are going to be singles off the record. I guess we did a couple for Europe too, but the plan is to go to France and to go to Brazil and do some touring right away in Europe. So that's the plan.
That's great. Yeah, I see a lot of shows actually getting booked from a couple of different artists over in Brazil, South America, different spots. It looks like they're opening up all over the place. So So that's amazing. And obviously with your band Hair Nation, you're still playing gigs all over the place here as well. You got a couple of gigs coming up for that too, right? You got Stephen Piercy coming up next weekend. And then I think after that, you have LA Guns coming up too. I think that's in June, I think. And then a show with Quiet Riot coming up in August.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And we do on Wednesday. We're playing with Steve Winwood's daughter, Lily Winwood. Her name is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Steve Winwood. Do you know? Are you familiar with her, Jer?
She plays here in Nashville every now and again.
Yeah. How is it? Great. Great stuff.
I haven't seen her show, but I know she's been here a couple of times.
So this is going to be a show where is it just you, Jim, playing the show? Is it going to be an acoustic set for you, or what's going on with that?
It's going to be an acoustic set. They're billing it as Jim Crean, but it's going to be acoustic, but the band, my Hair Nation band, is going to be, backing it, but acoustic. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Is that something new for you, Jim, the acoustic stuff?
No, we did a couple. I used to do tons with my friend Phil Naro. We used to do it for years. Phil and I would do tons of acoustic shows. But then we decided with the Hair Nation band to do a stripped down version of Hair Nation songs. Really cool.
Oh, great.
We opened up for Winger, and we did it that way, and we did it with a bunch of Mike Tramp and a bunch of other guys, and show went really well. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing on Wednesday. It should be pretty exciting. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a big thing on MTV for a while back in the 80s with the hair metal bands.
And that's how we do it, like that. Stripped down and kind of an alternate version of the songs, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. So another question I've got, and I'm sure you get this question all the time, Jim, is during your Hair Nation shows, are you going to start including some of your solo songs at all that you put out? Your couple different albums. There's some great stuff on there. Obviously, I've mentioned to you Broken before. I was wondering if people were maybe going to hear that stuff again, or if people are interested.
Yeah, we do Broken. We do it, but usually like the shows you've been going to are the opening set like that. So there's not a lot of time, but typically Broken's in a set list. Conflicted's in a set list. These are all songs off my London Fog record, and then a lot of stuff off my Insatiable album. So yeah, we play a lot of the originals. On a different note, another cool thing I got going on is we finally are in the mixing stages of the live album we did at the Whiskey A Go-Go in 2019. We headlined the Whiskey A Go-Go, and they filmed it and recorded it for a live album DVD package. Then of course COVID came, and we all just kind of said, okay, let's sit home and do nothing, right? So
yeah, another project on hold until things started changing, right? We see that from all the artists. They had stuff, in the can or ready to go, or they're like, then their media production said, okay, let's hold off on this for a year before we start doing anything. But that sounds excellent. So live show, DVD package. Are you going to release any videos for that at all? Maybe.
Well, it is. It's a DVD, so it's the full show on video, and then it's going to be a 2-package thing, a DVD of it, and then there's going to be a CD of it.
Okay. I was just wondering if you're going to have any like teasers on YouTube or anything like that of any of the video or anything, but I'll have to get it in the package. It sounds like, yeah, but that sounds great. And you always got stuff going on. You're such a busy guy. That's amazing.
Very prolific.
Thanks, man. If you go if you guys type in Broken, Jim Crean Broken, you'll see some of the footage. We use some of the footage in that video. That was filmed. That Broken video was filmed at the Whiskey A Go-Go. That same day we did the show. What happened was we were going to do like a big written out video of it with the actual players that played on it, on the record, which was Fox, bass player, Wheeler, played on it, and Robbie Lochner, and from Great White, and Vinny. We were going to do it that way with all those guys. And then we went to California, and time restraints had it so that we had to basically just kind of do it like a makeshift video. And that's what we did of the Broken song. So if you see the Broken video, you can go and find it on YouTube. The record company decided, let's just film it this way and sneak some live footage in. So there's live footage from that show in that video. So that's the
Oh,
footage.
excellent, excellent. I think what we're gonna do afterwards, after we're done speaking with you, we're gonna edit that and let people check out the video for Broken, because it's definitely one of my favorites. I know you said it was kind of like a last minute thing, but I think it turned out really, really well.
It came out amazing. This guy Ford Fisher filmed it. Steve Sussman, the company representative owner, was a label, put the whole thing together, and we did that literally in one day. So the whole thing was put together makeshift in our world, but when you look at it, it doesn't look that way. It looks really, it came out really professional, really, and
Yeah, I love it. I think it's one of the best videos you've done. You have a couple different ones out there. So another question for you, obviously coming up, new TALAS album's coming up. Well, not new, but re-release with the vocals from Phil Naro. It's pretty exciting. We're going to talk to Billy Sheehan about it later to see what else is happening. I know they only released the one track so far, but I know a lot of fans of Buffalo are all excited about that for sure.
I've heard the whole record. It's unbelievable. Phil played me the record, before he passed, and it's going to blow people's minds.
Excellent. I hope he maybe tries to do some of that stuff in some of his shows. I know he's a pretty busy guy with all the different things he has going on. We'll be speaking to him and stuff, but
without a doubt, about as busy as Jimmy.
Yeah. Jimmy's got shows like all over the place. Sometimes a couple shows a week. The calendar keeps growing. I know, as you see. I see them get released, every couple days. There's another show coming up. Usually, you have a lot of shows going through the Showplace Theater of Buffalo, which is a great venue. I've spoken to, Pat Sullivan and Joe Roxbury over there. We're going to be doing more things with them at the Showplace and promoting more shows, and so that'll be a great thing. We'll see. We'll catch you more coming up there for sure. I really like that venue though.
Well, Friday,
you saw Firehouse and Slaughter there recently, right?
Yeah, we did both of those shows. I have Rob. I have you on the in the VIP for Friday.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Steven. I kind of was a little bummed he had to cancel last time around, but again, back to the COVID thing and whatever. We got to do what we got to do sometimes. Yeah,
he got COVID.
But we're looking forward to that show. It should be an excellent show to see him back.
We're playing the next night with him too in Jordan, New York. So at Kegs, we're going Showplace on Friday, and then Saturday we're in Kegs with them. And it's by Syracuse.
Yeah, I noticed. I almost got confused with those dates a while back when I was looking. I was like, wait, are you guys playing Syracuse instead? But yeah, you're like, oh, it's the next day. Yeah. So that's really cool. I haven't been to that venue yet. How is that one out there?
Beautiful. We opened up for Great White there. Jack Russell's Great White indoor, and then we did outdoor with Jackal, and both shows were amazing. So you just got to keep working, man. That's what this is about. When you going back to what you're saying about Billy Sheehan, he's a very hard worker too. Yeah, and I had the pleasure of playing with him over the winter, and he comes from the same work ethic I have. Just keep working.
Yeah, I really love that show, and I'm going to try to actually put in a little footage from that show as well. When you guys were doing the Musicians of Buffalo show, and you were doing Highway to Hell with everybody with Jessie and Billy, and that was amazing. That was a great time. I think everybody thoroughly enjoyed it. The crowd was definitely singing along for sure with that tune. You got everybody rocking just like you usually do. Just like you usually get the crowds pumped for the shows I've seen. Great performances from yourself and Hair Nation. It's always a pleasure seeing you guys at the shows opening.
Thanks, man. It's fun to do it. Keep doing it. You got to keep doing it.
You've been doing this for like 20 some years or something with your band Hair Nation now, right?
Well, with Hair Nation, yeah, we started in 2000, so that's 22 years already. Wow. That band's, different incarnations of it, but mostly it's always been me. And 22 years. Crazy.
You guys will be celebrating an anniversary of your own pretty soon.
And it's weird because I'm only 23 years old, so I don't know how we do the math.
Jimmy's one of those eternal 20-year-olds, just like was it Dick Clark back in the day? He was the same thing, right? So
right.
For us, it's our 1 year anniversary, which is why we're putting this show together, cool. Bringing folks back of what we've been doing. We've been really lucky to meet lots of great folks, see lots of great shows. And so it's been pretty great seeing shows out here. Jerry's bringing us stuff from out in Nashville.
Great job. I mean, I'm proud of you guys. A year. That seems like I probably was one of your first guests, I would think, right?
Yeah, you were one of the first guests we had, and that's why we wanted to bring you back for our anniversary show and just kind of check in and see what's happening with you and give folks an update, on what's going on. We're going to have Jessie Galante on the show as well, awesome. And we're bringing Lost Circus, a band from Nashville who's doing really well out there. Got some amazing videos going on. Friends of Jerry's out there. They're going to be checking in with us and giving us an update out there. So we're trying to bring some previous guests back just for the anniversary show here. We just thought that would be a great idea.
Yeah, I think Jimmy came on last May, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are what it's all about, in my opinion, because we can only do so much as artists, playing live and putting out records, because I'm one of the few guys these days who actually still make CDs and albums and stuff. A lot of musicians don't do that anymore, and I still do. Every year I try and put out a couple albums. So, but without you guys, with the media, these albums go just out. We can just never hear them.
Yeah, there's not the same coverage like there used to be back in the day. You know what I mean? And it's weird. I talk to artists, and some are one way, some are the other way. Some are like, yeah, I'm still going to put out material. I'm still going to put out an album, or even if it's just stream or whatever. And then the other artists are the other way. They're like, no, we're not really going to do new stuff. We're just kind of stick with what we do. But I think it's really cool when at least we get like a track or two from older artists, and they're still releasing some newer material. You have guys like Def Leppard still releasing tracks. Alice Cooper still releasing new albums that are coming out. Scorpions, yeah, Scorpions got that big tour. That was a great album they came out with. I really enjoyed that. I wish I could have caught them in Vegas. But all kinds of stuff. It's nice to see that they still do that.
It's funny because you say that, because I have a lot of friends obviously in the industry, and they always say to me, "Why do you keep making these records and putting all the time into making records?" It's like, I love making records. A lot of guys don't. It's because it's painstaking making a record. It's a lot of work, making a quality record, and from the writing aspect of it to the recording to the mixing to the mastering. It's a lot of work. It's a process, and a lot of bands from our era kind of give up doing that. It's good to see, like you said, these bands still putting out records. I mean, like the Scorpions and bands like that who don't need to put out records anymore, because let's face it, they put these records out and they don't play one song off it live. They play all, because you got an hour and 90 minutes to make a show. In 90 minutes, most of those bands have 90 minutes worth of hits, so they have to play all those songs. So they don't even get to play the stuff live. But they do it because they love making records, and I'm in that same wheelhouse. I like just making records. I like doing it. I like giving back to the fans, because I have fans that are so dedicated that will buy anything I put out, even if it's demos and stuff. I get messages all the time. Hey, can I get demos of that stuff? And so without the fans, you got to give them back. That's why.
The fans. I hear it all the time. The fans definitely appreciate hearing some new stuff come out from some of the older bands. It's definitely nice to hear that, and you're right. The true fans that follow, they appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I have dedicated fans that ask me for old pictures and old stuff, from like the 80s, when I was a kid.
Right.
Do you have all that stuff? And I have a couple pretty fanatical guys and girls that want all that stuff and collect all that stuff. So that makes me feel good that at least all that stuff isn't just thrown to the wayside.
Yeah. Now, do they have any of your stuff in? I'm not sure if they have some of your stuff displayed in the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame. Do you have anything in there?
Yeah. It was actually really cool. Buffalo Music Hall of Fame is amazing. I just want to throw it out there. They great organization. Rich Sargent, Robin, the whole gang. They have a whole. I gave them a touring outfit of mine from the 80s, and it was cased really cool, and had a little plaque on it, and because they have displayed. It's over on Military Road in Buffalo, and they have my case all up. You can probably find pictures of it on the internet. but it's pretty cool. It's a touring outfit of mine that I toured with in the mid 80s. And we had it encased, and I gave him that, and I also gave him a drum head that I used. Gave him Crean logo on it and everything. So that stuff's hanging in there. And there's a lot of cool Buffalo stuff. You know, Billy Sheehan's got some stuff in there, and Jessie and whoever else is in Hall of Fame. You know, so it's kind of cool. So that's
we want to check it out, and I've been in contact with them. We may actually do some shows there or some walkthroughs there, because we're also going to be coming up some shows where we're going to be doing walkthroughs of some of the clubs and venues. So we're going to have like a rock venue show where we do walkthroughs of different clubs out here, and we're going to try to do some clubs out there in Nashville as well. But I'd really like to do Buffalo Music Hall of Fame, so people could kind of get a better idea of what's going on there. For sure, that would be a great idea to do.
Does anyone ever play any concerts over there?
No, because it's it's in front of the Sportsman. You know, the Sportsman bar, the same place we're playing Wednesday. We're playing at the Cave. So the Cave's behind the Sportsman. So it's next to the Sportsman, and it's a little building right there that the Sportsman, I guess, donated to the Hall of Fame. And when you go in there, they have their meetings and all that there. But there's a whole showcase on the wall of all the artists that are in the Hall of Fame. And they asked certain people to donate some stuff. So when they approached me on that, I dug through my old totes and found a cool piece of memorabilia from the early days of touring Canada. You know, I toured for almost a year straight without even I graduated from high school and then just went on the road. That's how I did it. Literally the next day after high school, I literally went on the road for a full year. Didn't come back to home for a whole year. So out on the road.
How was that first year? I was going to ask you that, and I was going to ask you, you know, what was probably your most memorable place to play. But that first year, how was it? It had to be a little grueling at first, I'm sure.
It was incredible because, I mean, I was 18 years old, and, you know, I mean, all my friends were going to summer parties and shit. Oh, I didn't mean to swear, but going to summer parties.
That's fine. This is the internet. We can do whatever we want.
Going to summer parties and stuff, and I was out on the road, you know, with the band. I mean, it was pretty wild. And night after night, playing every night of the week, like every night. So I went from, you know, just playing seldomly to every night. But boy, you learn a lot, and you really learn how to control your voice, care of your voice, and how to get off on the road. And it was a great experience. I mean, I did that for 2 years with that band, and then I came back, you know. But yeah, it was a great experience. You know,
it's got to be quite a thrill for a young guy of 18 years old.
It was cool. I mean, in hindsight, I wish I would have went to California, LA, because that was when the scene was hot. Like it's
right.
in '86. So in hindsight, I wish I would have taken that energy that I had, because I had tons of it, and went right to California and did that, because that's where the scene, all the bands were up, you know, like your Guns N' Roses and all those type of bands were starting, like Guns and all those. There was a scene. So I went the opposite way and went to a band in Travel, Canada. Actually, Phil Naro, who's, you know, my best friend, kind of advised me. He said, "Hey, do this," because he did something like that when he was younger. So then he said, "You should do this," and so I did that, and it was great experience for me.
Yeah, there might have just been really too much competition too going on in LA. There were so many bands that were coming through out there in the 80s. You know, Motley Crue, Rat, Poison. You know, that's back when they had Gazzari's out there and everybody was playing that. There was a couple more clubs. I was lucky enough to get out there. You know, at the tail end of it, I went out there in the 90s and got to see everything. But by then, the scene was kind of gone at that point, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. The grunge thing started kicking in away. But, you know, here's the thing. Everybody always goes with that grunge. Killed the 80s music and stuff. 80s music killed itself. And the grunge didn't have anything to do with it. And I really don't feel that it did. Everybody's like, oh, my God, you know, grunge music killed. It started getting sloppy for 80s bands towards the end of it. They were just putting every band, it was like a sleazy rock type band started coming out, and it was getting hokey. The songwriting was becoming very mundane and generic, you know. So it hurt itself. And then when these grunge, now we call it grunge now, but at the time it was just new music. When bands like Nirvana and Alice in Chains, who's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bands like that came out, they had something interesting to say, and they were different, and it was cool, and it was fresh. And so that's what happened. And the bands, the hair bands, which I love, I mean, that's what I am, we're just trying to ride that wave of, hey, party and have a great time and all that, girls and all this stuff. And people were sick of hearing about that. They wanted to hear about something else, what was going on. And that's what happened. I really think those bands came along and didn't kill the 80s music. I think that killed my opinion on it.
Yeah, the hair metal seemed to get a little formulaic towards the end there. It seemed like every artist needed to record that ballad to get in the charts and have a chart topper. And they kind of started getting away from the good heavy and banger type music and started releasing these ballads just to have a charting single.
I mean, the bands that survived that were the real deal bands like Aerosmith. They kept it going right through the 90s. Metallica, those bands, because they stayed true to what they were doing. They weren't trying to write songs that were going to connect. Aerosmith was writing songs, dark songs actually. Katie's Got a Gun and stuff like that, that were just what they wanted to do, right? Does that make sense to you? Metallica, Sure You Got On right there. That album right there was big. But they were doing something different. They weren't trying to just write songs about, staying up till 4 a.m. and partying and having a good time. They weren't doing that. And that's what killed it. When bands like that came out, I really feel that it got silly. One of my favorite bands ever was Dio. And he stayed true to what he was doing. And that's why he survived all that. Those bands survived. The real bands survived it. And I think the bands that got silly killed the scene.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it for sure. I'm just really excited and happy that a lot of that music is coming back out again, and we're getting to see a lot of these bands perform again. Even if it's under the circumstances where we're not selling albums anymore, and because of the streaming thing. But it's great to see this music have a resurgence, and we're seeing a lot of different bands come out, and some new bands that are forming. I just spoke to Robin McCulley with his new band Black Swan coming back out. Really great stuff they're doing. It was great to see him back out. Rob Beach playing guitar on there was amazing. So, some of these folks coming back and offering some newer incarnations and stuff is really great to see too.
Well, yeah. And it's funny you said about Robin's band, Black Swan. If you look at their video that they put out, I put mine out, the Broken video. Okay, it was filmed in the same place with the big lights behind us. If you remember the video.
Right, yeah.
When I fall into the lights.
Yeah.
Well, we filmed that about a year before that. Then they went in the same room and put out a video with the same background.
I didn't notice that yet. I'll have to check that out.
I saw the video. Oh man, there's the same room.
I didn't notice that. I noticed the one with the video they have. They're playing like in a swimming pool or something, like a old
check
swimming
out one
pool.
of their videos. Is that the band with Pilsen, right?
Yeah, Jeff Pilson's playing bass. Yeah,
check it out. You'll see it, and it's the same room that we did ours in. It was like a cool room in Hollywood. We did it, and we rented it out for the day, and we did that video. And then, like I said, we released our video, and about 6 months later, they put theirs out, and I go, "That's the same room, it's the exact same."
Well, I guess it's an awesome set. So
it's
maybe
a cool look. It's a cool room. Back to what you were saying, yeah, it's good to see all us older guys still rocking and still making music. And like Robin's a hell of a singer. Robin actually was on our Appice album. We did a song together on the Appice album. We did Riot, the Blue Murder song. So yeah, he's on that. But so it's good to see everybody still keeping the flame alive. And like you said, it's cool that a lot of these bands from the 80s are coming back and doing shows again. So because there's a need for it. All of us guys from our era,
we were lucky enough, Jerry and I were lucky enough to see a lot of these bands back in the heyday, but for me, I know a lot of people that weren't, so they're real happy that they get a second shot at seeing some of these people. You know what I mean? Seeing Firehouse, seeing Stephen Pearcy, seeing Slaughter, things like that. So
well, it's cool to see when you don't see a lot of them, but when you see the younger kids at these shows, I like seeing that, because it's like, their experience, you see the twinkle in their eye, like they're experiencing all this for the first time. And it's kind of cool to see that, as opposed to, us. We've seen most of these bands in their heyday. Now we see them as they're winding their careers down. So to us, it's a little different. Like me and Jerry, especially myself, touring with these bands for 40 years. Most of these guys I've known for 40 years, just working with them throughout the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and now. So I've seen different levels of talent, I guess you want to call it, over those years. Most of the time it's not as at the same level, obviously. You're older. But the kids nowadays, they don't know any better. They don't know how good they were back then. So you see it for what it is now, and they think, wow, this is great. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, I definitely keep an eye out. If I ever see any younger fans at any of the shows, I always try to take a minute to talk to them and just to let them know that exactly, they're what it's all about. They're the next generation of rock fans, and we appreciate them being there for sure, and everybody does.
Do they seem as appreciative?
Yeah, I mean, it's
approaching them and talking to them.
Yeah, they come up to me and they want pictures and autographs and all that stuff, and that's cool. I mean, I love it. But back in the day when we were doing this all the time, there was a lot more teen shows and a lot more under, like, you could be like 18 plus to go to the shows. Now it's all 21 and older. But back, I just remember, like, in the 80s and 90s, we did a lot of like teen shows. So like I was in my 20s, obviously, but we did a lot of shows where it was like 15 or 16.
Yeah, they had shows like those at the Salty Dog. I remember they had 18 and up. And I actually, the first time I saw TALAS, I saw them at like a teenage nightclub called Spit. It was like 18 and up. And I saw them way back in the day. It was like 83 or something, or 82. But yeah, they used to have shows like that. Maybe they should start that again in some way.
I probably opened that show. My band Strutter at the time, we probably opened that one.
I bet you did, yeah.
Yeah, we played a lot. We opened up for TALAS a lot at Spit and the Inferno and Uncle Sam's. But yeah, so we played these teen shows, and they were on Sundays, if you remember. We played these teen shows, and those kids were just so appreciative. And they'd go buy all the stuff. They'd go buy, like at the time we had cassettes out. They'd go buy, like, we'd bring 50 cassettes or whatever to sell. We'd sign them all and sell them all that day, and so there was a whole thing happening back then. I think that's changed a lot since now. I really feel music is not just because you can stream it and all that. I just think the people just aren't as interested in as they were back then when the three of us were rolling along.
Yeah, it's definitely
got all these gadgets and these devices now, and nobody has an attention span anymore.
That's the thing. That's why I get people saying to me, why you make these records and everything. And because there are people like us who love buying physical copies and having the records and flipping through the booklet and all that stuff. I do that for them. Yeah,
and there's still those younger fans out there, like we were talking about. I mean, I run into the one guy, he's like at all the shows, he's always trying to get everybody's autograph and meet people, as many bands as he can, so we still see it a little bit. It's just there's just not this big outcry like there used to be, but as we know, rock and roll has always been the redheaded stepchild. We always had to claw our way out to get what we want and try to get back on top. Music will change, music tastes will change. There'll always be some form of rock and roll.
In Europe, it's still like that. I will say that. Like we were saying, we're going to book a tour in Brazil. Actually, we're working on it right now. I think it's going to be finalized pretty soon, so you'll be seeing that announcement. The Scream Taker project. And that stuff in Brazil, you're still treated like that. When you get there, they want pictures and autographs, and they have your record already bought, ready to have signed, and you don't have to lug merch around because they have all that stuff. They buy it all. So that scene is still, it's all young kids too. So that scene is still really big in countries like that because they're always behind a little bit. And they still have the whacking festivals and things like that, where you play these festivals in front of 200,000 people, and they have like 20, 30 bands all day long. That stuff is still alive in Europe. So there's still hope.
Yeah, it's good to see. Well, they always love the heavy hitters in Europe, like Judas Priest and Saxon and Accept and the Scorpions and Deep Purple. So, yeah, it's good to see that they're still ravenous for rock music in Europe and Brazil.
Mm-hmm. in Japan too. But I mean, nowadays, I mean, bands don't just still go to Japan anymore. But Japan is, I sold a bunch of units of my Insatiable record. We had a really big distribution deal when I was on Rocker, and it was through E1, a big distributor called E1. A lot of bands like Sony, or a lot of labels like Sony use them. But anyways, I sold a ton of units in Japan, and they probably didn't even know who I was. They would just they'd see the CD in the stores, which they actually have music stores in Japan, where you can actually go in there and they have everything current, and they work off the Billboard list, and they do that. And I sold tons of units, and then I would get all these friend requests or whatever from Facebook and from all these Japanese people.
Right.
Like it. So that's a big deal in Japan still, like that they buy physical copies, and they on Record Store, every Monday, I think it is.
Yeah, Record Store Day. Yeah,
so they actually get the list, and they actually buy your CD and pre-ordered. So we did really well with that album. I'm assuming Scream Taker will do really well there too in Japan, but so it's still there in different countries. It's just in America's. I think what Jerry said is everybody's so, they scroll, they stop, they listen to about 3 seconds of, oh, that sounds good, scroll to the next, because they think they want to see the next better thing. No one really sits and just absorbs it like you used to, throw the headphones on and just stare at the album cover and just get lost. No one does it.
Right.
And even we don't even do it. We say we do it. Us older guys, we say we do it. But let's face it, we all have lives.
Yeah, but we don't do it now. We did it back in the day. Jerry and I would looking inside the sleeve, trying to find the hidden meaning, or find to see what the lyric was, or looking at every Ozzy album, what was the dark meaning behind the stuff that he had on there. We were spending all that time looking at the new Rush album back then. Now, now it's not like that. Definitely not. But we'll see.
All the time in the world back then as kids, so
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that in the future, and that's great. That's Scream Taker is going to be coming up, and you guys are going to be touring with that. In the back of your mind, any plans to do any of your own stuff again, to put out another album down the line a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I want to do a new Jim Crean record. That'll be my 10th. I got 9 solo albums out, so I'm going to start writing for another Jim Crean record. I get asked a lot about that, as a matter of fact. So and that would be a follow-up to London Fog. So I'm gonna start that process. I mean, what happened with Scream Taker was during COVID. Initially, me and Steph were starting to write songs for a Jim Crean record, and then he was working on an album called Hollywood Monsters. I did a bunch of songs on that, and we just had tons of time on our hands. I mean, we're all locked down, right? So what are you gonna do? And I got a home studio. He's got a home studio. Most people do. Musicians have home studios. So we're just back and forth ideas. And then I talked to Vinny and I said, hey, Vin, you got to hear this stuff. He listened. He goes, wow, this is great. It sounds like D.O. Black Sabbath. I go, really does. So we decided, let's make this a real band. Become a band with this thing. And that's what happens. So Scream Taker was going to be a Jim Crean record. And then, as a matter of fact, I had the whole thing worked out where I had an album cover made and everything for Jim Crean. And then it just turned into something bigger, meaning the Scream Taker. And I like where it went. Because it's a heavy, it sounds like Black Sabbath Dio, but it doesn't sound like a Jim Crean record. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yep.
I'm glad we're separating the two, because a Jim Crean record, you normally expect a certain sound, like with Velvet Crush, Insatiable, London Fog, all that. This is not like that. This is heavier and real dark and badass, really badass. Jer's smiling. Jer's gonna love it.
Oh, we're gonna love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we hope you'll give us a taste of it when you can, so we get the chance to check it out. We're really looking forward to it. I know I've been bugging you and asking you during the shows, what's going on with Scream Taker, and you probably couldn't really say, But
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you kept asking me, because in all honesty, I couldn't wait to tell you. You're the first. This is the first interview I did since we got signed. So. You're going to be seeing a ton of stuff about it. They're going to really get behind this. The label's really excited about it. I'll send you a couple tracks, both you guys, and you can, for personal use, to check it out. But if you close your eyes, it sounds like something off, like it sounds like a the child of Holy Diver meets Mob Rules Heaven and Hell. It sounds like
We're gonna love it then.
child of that.
Yeah, I love your performances of the Sabbath and Dio stuff. Obviously, the Peace Brothers tour, you wouldn't be singing with them out on the road.
Right.
So it's great. I really look forward to that, and that's awesome. You got so much stuff going on, Jim. Thank you so much for taking some time today and checking in with us on our show. You know, please keep us up to date, and things are changing for you, and what's happening, and hopefully that Europe tour is on for you, and that sounds great.
Awesome.
Come to Nashville.
We Peace Brothers are going to come to Nashville. We already worked on some stuff that we are going to do that because we've been talking about it, and there's a need for us out there. So we're going to come to Nashville there, and I'll make sure that you get back there and meet the guys, and we can do an interview live and all that cool stuff. But I just want to tell both of you guys, congratulations for a full year. I mean, that's amazing, and you guys are dedicated to it, and you guys are doing a great job. So congratulations, fellas.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we really appreciate that. We love what we're doing here. We love what you guys are doing. So we're just trying to keep the torch alive and keep on rocking. Yeah, we're lucky we had this 1 year. We didn't know we were going to make it this far. There were some times when it didn't look that way, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep moving forward. So,
All right, guys, be good.
all right, man. Have a great day. Thanks, Jim.
See you guys.
Take care.